Welcome, everyone. Whoever's joining right now, if you want to let us know where you're watching from, just go to the chat. We'd love to hear from where you are in North America right now. We're so excited to be able to share this with everyone who is joining us here. So it's great to see us all come together from all over. So we've got people from all over. Oh, St. Catharines. That's where my grandma's from. Got Nova Scotia. We've got lots of places joining in. New Jersey. Love it. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here today. We're going to get started shortly, but love to see everyone joining from all over Canada and the US. Represent Winnipeg. We've got Brandon, Newfoundland, Illinois, everywhere. All right. We've got a packed house here. So we're really excited to get this going shortly. And thank you all so much. Let's go Devils. Yep. They need your support right now. All right. So everyone here today, still just waiting for people to join. Love to see where everyone's joining from. We've got everyone from even Alberta. We were wondering if we'd get some West Coasters here this early. We really appreciate you joining at this time of day. We know it is early in the morning, but nonetheless, an important and exciting opportunity for everyone to be a part of, to hear from some incredible women in such diverse jobs. So, we got Prince Edward Island. They've been up for a while now. If you guys don't know, I'm just describing my knowledge of geography at this point. Great stuff. Okay, we're going to get started momentarily. Okay. All right. Well, let's kick things off. We really appreciate everyone joining, students, teachers, and parents. Welcome in honor of the NHL's Women's History Month and the NHL and NHLPA. We'd like to welcome you to the NHL Women in STEM and Hockey panel as part of the Future Goals Hockey Scholar Program. My name is Julie Stewart-Binks, and I'm so excited to be your host for today and celebrate STEM through a game that I love, hockey. So I'm from Toronto, but I've lived in New York City now for about 8 years. I've been in the US for 11 years. I've covered hockey for about 15 years. So when I saw some of those different places you guys are from, I covered junior hockey in Winnipeg and in Saskatchewan. And then I came to the States and covered the Anaheim Ducks as a rinkside reporter and also for the LA Kings as a host, and have been covering hockey with NHL on TNT, with the NHL. I currently host 2 NHL podcasts. There's a lot of hockey going on here, and I've played hockey since I was about 12, so still getting on the ice, and that was a long time ago. I won't tell you how long, but hockey is certainly big, and that is why we are all here today, because we love the sport of hockey and we love science and technology as well. So let's get to the big show that we have here today. And the Carolina Hurricanes, the Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers, Ottawa Senators, Pittsburgh Penguins, and all additional NHL clubs in conjunction with the NHL and NHLPA are so thrilled to be able to offer the Future Goals digital STEM resource to you and your class. And we hope that you've been able to keep up with your math and science skills while being at home or in your classroom. We know a huge part of this course is learning about careers in STEM and how this topic also connects to hockey. So The NHL and NHLPA, through many investments of the Industry Growth Fund, have committed to providing opportunities, particularly for girls. And this is huge. In 2018, the NHL and NHLPA convened the Female Hockey Advisory Committee to accelerate the growth of female hockey in North America and ensure that girls can experience all the opportunities and benefits that the sport provides. And we have some incredible guest speakers lined up for you who will share how they use STEM to excel in their careers every single day. And throughout the panel discussion, please think of questions for our speakers. If you feel free, write them in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen where you guys have been putting in where you're watching from. And when there's time at the end, we'll try to answer as many of those questions as possible. So if you think of anything, make sure to put it in there. And then later on in the session, we have a fun trivia game plan for you. So make sure that you track how many of those questions you get right. And then finally, if you're taking pictures, please tag at NHL, at NHLPA, at NHL Unites, and at Everfi K12, and your favorite hockey team on social media so we can check out where you're having fun from today, where you're watching from. We always love to engage in social media and promote where everyone is watching from. So with all of that said, it is now my pleasure to introduce to you today our incredible lineup of speakers. I'm so thrilled to be able to have these women here. When I was younger, I never saw any of these jobs when I was in middle school or high school. So this is a huge opportunity for all of you to learn more about them. First up, we have from the Carolina Hurricanes, it is Chloe Shutt. Chloe is a software developer in hockey operations for the Hurricanes data analytics team. She works on their centralized information program, which is used by management, scouts, coaches, and players. And this is her second season with the team. Chloe graduated from Duke University in 2023, where she studied neuroscience and conducts translational research on the biologic mechanisms of chronic pain. Not too shabby, very impressive. Let's welcome Chloe with a wave. All right, great stuff. Next up, we have Keely Brown from the Edmonton Oilers. We know lots of you are joining from the West Coast here. Keely is currently the head of legal for the Oilers Entertainment Group, which includes the Edmonton Oilers, AHL's Bakersfield Condors, WHL's Edmonton Oil Kings, Ice District, and Rogers Place. Growing up in Kitchener, Ontario, Keely became fascinated with the game of ringette by the age of 6, back when girls weren't allowed to play hockey. Her love for the game grew as she continued to be a goalie in ringette and added in playing goal in hockey while attending the University of Toronto and inline hockey as well for the summer months. She was very, very busy. During her ringette career, Keely competed, in 19 Canadian ringette championships. She won 9 gold and 8 silver medals. Extremely impressive. She was also inducted into the Ringette Canada Hall of Fame as an athlete in 2014 and was inducted into the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame as an athlete in 2018. Extremely impressive. Let's all give Keely a wave. Welcome on in. Okay, up next, I'm excited to introduce to you Lauryn Munn, representing the Florida Panthers. Lauryn is currently the director of ticket operations for the Florida Panthers, Amerant Bank Arena, and War Memorial Auditorium. Lauryn began her career as a coordinator of ticket operations and merchandise manager with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Next, she became a manager of ticket operations for the Cincinnati Cyclones and Heritage Bank Center. Let's give Lauryn a warm welcome with a wave. Great to see you. Okay. Next up on our speaker panel, we welcome in Annie Camp from the Ottawa Senators. Annie currently serves as a manager, demand generation marketing for the Sens. And within her role, she leads email marketing, paid advertising, and is a key member of the brand team for the Ottawa Senators. Over the years, Annie has worked her way in the Senators organization and has found her stride on the demand generation team, where creativity and data data analytics merge. Annie loves helping to educate and hopefully inspire younger generation to pursue careers in a dynamic field like sports marketing. Let's all give Annie a big warm welcome wave. Awesome. Okay. And last but definitely not least, we want to welcome in Katarina Wu representing the Pittsburgh Penguins. Katarina is a senior data scientist for the Pittsburgh Penguins on their hockey operations side. She graduated from UNC Chapel Hill with a degree in economics and a double minor in statistics and computer science. Wu was the first woman hired by the Penguins to assist in player evaluation on their hockey ops side and has continued to work in the R&D department for the past 5 years. Prior to joining the Penguins, she also worked as a data science intern at Sports Media Technology, the company that provides the NHL with player and puck tracking data. Extremely impressive resume. Let's all give Katarina a big wave. Great stuff. All right. Now it's time to hear from these illustrious panelists. And I know that we are excited to hear all about their backgrounds and everything beyond. So let's begin. We're going to go around the table with everyone here. We'll start with Katarina. Let's start with you. And then Keely, Lauryn, Chloe, and Annie. All right. I'll remind you and I'll tee up as you go. But for everyone here watching, I know all of us are curious. What was your favorite subject in school and why, Katarina?
This is a bit unusual, I suppose, but my favorite subject at school were actually all the humanities. I especially loved history, and English, and I think that I took some of those concepts from those classes that I took in history to apply to what I currently do today. In history, all of it is about these individual stories that you collect, and you can think of each story as like an individual pixel. And as you learn more about all the different connections between them, as you zoom out, you can see the full picture of what you're doing. And I think that ties really neatly with my job actually as a data scientist, where I'm trying to make these connections between all these individual pieces, and try to glean insights from them.
Fascinating perspective. Keely, what was your favorite subject in school and why?
It seems like we're all going off book, but my favorite subjects were more the extracurricular. So the gym and the intramurals and the running of the different activities. I was in band as well, and I just liked all the extra things around, and I worked in the school cafeteria and things like that. So I liked school mostly for the extracurricular. I feel for you guys during COVID with your lack of activities, and I'm happy that all the activities are back, but that was how I made friends, and that's how I really enjoyed coming to school. So school was school, and I got through the subjects and I did what I could for the subjects. English, not so fun, but I use actually English and writing every day, very much so, but it wasn't my favorite subject in school. And then gym, I would say.
Gotta love it. I love gym as well. That's a great one. Lauryn, okay, what was your favorite subject in school and why?
Hey everyone. Growing up from middle school to high school, I definitely loved math and science. So loved math. In high school, I loved physics. I had dreamed to be an architect one day, because I liked that things were right or they were wrong. And I definitely do that a lot in my work today. There's not a lot of gray area, and that makes my job, I think, a lot easier, that I can check things off and know that they're done correctly. Getting into college, though, I was a journalism major, and so I loved press releases. I loved writing. So being able to balance both those fun parts of school and different things to learn.
Love hearing that, Lauryn. You kind of have part of my background as well as being in journalism, and now you have a very different career from the one I'm currently doing right now, which is great. That's the beauty of being able to have all these different subjects and have all these different interests, is that they can weave into different areas. Okay, Chloe, let's hear from you. What was your favorite subject in school and why?
Yeah, so I have a really hard time picking favorites in general, and that applied to school as well. Like, I really liked learning all of the different subjects, but if I had to pick, I would go with like biology and chemistry and my science courses, just because I'm really curious about how things work. And what's really fun about those classes, especially as you progress to high school and college, is that there might not even be an answer to why something works, but you're part of the process of trying to figure that out and running experiments and doing those things. So that was the most exciting part for me.
The investigation process. Love it. Love the curiosity. Okay, Annie, what was your favorite subject in school and why?
Hi everyone. So similar to Keely, my favorite subject was probably gym up until about high school. I just loved being active, and then high school it kind of shifted to be more the math and biology side of things. Similar to Chloe and Lauryn, just seeing how things work. There was a right and wrong answer when it came to math, and when it came to science, it was all about how different things live and evolve and change as their life cycles go on. And I was really interested in that. So again, a little off book on what I'm doing now, because now my job's a little bit more ambiguous and creative rather than formulas and yeah, lifelines.
Well, we love that. And I'd say, Annie, let's start the next question with you based on you mentioned your job now and your day-to-day is a bit different. So we're gonna go through everyone here, but Annie, if you could start and tell us your daily responsibilities in the position that you're in right now and how your job connects to STEM.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my job is a little, like I said, it's ambiguous. There's not a lot of like right or wrong way to do it when you think about marketing. So in the day-to-day, I oversee all of our email marketing communications and our paid advertising. So if you're in the Ottawa region, you've probably seen something that I've had a hand in, either if it's traditional advertising like radio, billboards, bus stops, the airport, if you've ever flown into Ottawa, that kind of stuff, and then email marketing as well. And then I also oversee all of our brand usage. So anytime a partner uses logo, if you see like the Molson cans with Sens logo on it, I would have had to approve all of that. So again, there's no real right and wrong way to my job, but it's very different every day. There's a lot of copywriting, there's a lot of analyzing how things performed. And so I don't think like a lot of people might not see a direct correlation to my job in STEM, but there actually is a huge correlation between the two, because without numbers, without KPIs, without being able to measure what we do, I probably wouldn't have a job, because I don't directly bring in revenue to the organization, right? I do all of the high level, above the line advertising stuff that might not see a direct correlation. So if I don't have all of those numbers and data that I work closely with our BI team to get, we really wouldn't have any insight into how things are performing and what the market is saying about us or that kind of stuff. So we do a lot of A/B testing, analyzing numbers, seeing what demographic is responding to certain platforms and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, I'm sure that they're doing pretty well because that Ottawa Senators fan base is very passionate. I know we have people here from the in and around the Ottawa area, so they'll love to hear about the Senators. Okay, Chloe, we're going to go to you next, and then afterward, we'll go Lauryn, Keely, and Katerina. So, Chloe, can you give us just a bit more about your daily responsibilities in your position and how your job connects to STEM?
Yeah, so on the day-to-day, I am programming. I'm writing computer code. So that's essentially giving step-by-step instructions to the computer and telling it what to do. And so in my case, that sort of task is putting different hockey statistics and numbers on this website so that our coaches and our scouts and our players and our managers are all able to see them and use them to make decisions about whether it's players that we're interested in or different lineups we want to try, different power play positions, all of those things. So it's a combination mostly of math and just solving puzzles and building things using that code.
Well, it sounds very exciting. Building code is now way more interesting for someone like me who never knew much about it beforehand. So, love to hear that about your daily responsibilities. And Lauryn, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do on a daily basis and how that connects to STEM?
Absolutely. So with ticket operations, it is something I didn't know existed until kind of falling into it, but it's a lot of fun, very similar to Chloe. Instead of being as in-depth as she is with writing code and programming and computer softwares, we are working with a ticketing software to build events. And whether that is a hockey season for people who have packages, single games, or concerts and events that we come through, we build it on an internal side. So our sales and service team is able to sell a product. And so ticket operations is really based in a lot of numbers, making sure your maths, making sure all your numbers work out, but it really is working with your ticket system and your software, that technology piece of it, to produce a product for the public.
Love to hear that. And I'm sure that you guys have had a wonderful year so far after an exciting end to the last year, which is unfortunately now an unfortunate transition to Keely, who's obviously with the Edmonton Oilers. A little bit of
Not
for
right,
those of
Julie.
you,
It's not right.
it's not right. It was a very close game 7 in the Stanley Cup final. That's what we love to see for everyone who's watching, of course. The Stanley Cup final last year was Florida and Edmonton. Okay, so Keely, can you give us a little bit more of a background into your day-to-day responsibilities and how that connects to STEM?
Yeah, it's good the other 3 went first because what I do, I'm in-house lawyer, so I basically paper everything that those guys do. So all of our different departments, when they write code, when they get into supplier agreements, when they have ticketing agreements, when they talk to customers and get their data and ask for permission to contact them for other things, those are the things that I paper. If you guys are entering contests, there's things called contest rules. Usually you need to be 13 and older to enter contests out our way. So I would write the contest rules and I would make sure that I understand the contest that our people want to put on and that all the details make sense and that they're consistent. So I am the nth degree of detail for all the things. If you guys have cell phones, I would read the cell phone agreement, the terms and conditions to see what you're getting into, to see how you can get out of it if you don't want it, to see how much money you have to pay. All those not fun details are the things that I manage as the in-house lawyer. So I like to read, I like to write, but I need to understand all the science and technology behind everything that they're getting into. Just a little extra plug though is that it's not all just reading and writing. If you're a lawyer, I get to do other cool things at the Oilers. So last week I got to play on the ice at Rogers Place. We had a women in sport game where I got to hop on the ice as a goalie and play with a bunch of women in our community, and we had a little shinny game. I get to go to the games, I get to meet the mascot, I get to do other cool things like that. We have concerts, so I get to put on the agreements for the concert and make sure that it's safe and secure. All the different things. We've done things like mechanical bull riding, so I've done up the agreement so that people can come and try to ride a mechanical bull. I don't want to say the playoff language quite yet, but behind the scenes, everybody's planning. Our Oil Kings are in playoffs, so I can say we've planned for the playoffs for the Oil Kings, and I do all the advertising and other agreements for that stuff. And just for you guys, as you get a bit older too, I also coach my kids in sport. I still play sport myself. So we had provincials the other weekend. My daughter's in U12 Ringette and I coach her team. My son's in U9 hockey and I coach his team. So I do all my work during the day and then I leave on the weekends and I take my work with me, but I also get to have fun with my family. We're at the farm right now and we just had twin cows. We have at Black Angus Farms. So we're here for spring break and we got 2 baby cows to bottle feed too. So full circle, take your work everywhere. You can do it from anywhere.
Wow, Keely, what an impressive and diverse day-to-day
free time.
responsibilities that you have, especially for a lawyer, because we know that that is such an arduous job that you have to look at the fine detail and fine print, but really lovely that you can explain that you can have so many other things that you're able to handle on top of very impressive work that you have to do. And very quickly, before we move on, I know all of us are just wondering here, the big question. Do you know Connor McDavid?
I have met him as a lawyer. You get to notarize documents. So when he needs things signed officially, I do more the business side, so not as much player side, but I've met the players and I can say hi to them and they pretend they know me, but they don't really know me.
Well, they need you. That's certainly for sure,
Yeah,
as you've
well, if
mentioned.
our goalies get injured, I'm ready. I'm ready. I have no questions.
Yeah.
You let me know.
Great stuff. All right, Katerina, we'd love to hear more about your daily responsibilities and how they connect to STEM.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think anyone can beat Keely's day to day, but my job is actually very similar to Chloe's. As a data scientist, I kind of am responsible for taking all of the data that we collect from various sources, some third parties, some that we scrape directly from on the internet, and take that information and try to glean insights from that so that we can share it with our stakeholders, whether that be the general manager or the coaching staff or the scouts, and help them make data-driven decisions. And that can include things like pre and post game reports or any ad hoc requests that they might have. So yeah, just trying to create things from the data that we have, try to get insights from those so that they can make better decisions.
We have a very impressive job. Data scientist alone is just a very cool title to have. And there's so many things that I'm sure go into all of that that you could spend a whole lot of time describing to us. But we've got to move on to some more questions. And let's go to Chloe. I'd love to know if you have a mentor in your life, and specifically a woman role model that you've had in this field, because we know that a lot of these jobs are very male dominated. And if you did have someone, or if you do have someone, what kind of impact have they had on your career or life?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky that I guess prior to my job with the Hurricanes, when I work in research and more of medicine, all of my bosses and mentors have always been women, which I think is exciting because it's very easy to see myself in, you know, a future potential situation like they do. But here at the Hurricanes, one of my mentors is Margaret Cunniffe. She's a data scientist here. She was the first woman to join the data team here. And so she has just been an amazing light in terms of guiding me. I was new to hockey when I started, and so she's given me the rundown on everything from the hockey side to more of learning about the world of sort of upper level management in the NHL. So I really appreciate everything she's done for me.
That's incredible. We'd love to hear about women supporting women, and having more women in those rooms just helps all of us elevate each other to levels that are beyond what we're at right now. And I just want to go back to Katerina with your job, because it is very fascinating in terms of the very same question. Just if you had a female role model that helped you sort of get into the position you're in right now, or who's inspired you where you are.
Yeah, of course. One of them actually, I believe, was a panelist at this event in the prior year. Namita Kumar, she's now, I believe, the senior quantitative analyst or manager with the Seattle Kraken. And when I was in college, she got hired by the Eagles in the NFL as similar to my role as a quantitative scientist, I believe. And she like I loved hockey and I loved math, but I didn't think that I could do this as a living. And she helped me realize that like this is actually a job that I could pursue in the future. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her and just posting online, just making people aware that this kind of job exists and that women can also be part of that.
Love hearing that. I think that that's such an important takeaway for everyone watching, is seeing all of these women in their various different jobs is a great example of showing you that it is possible. There's a space for you out there, and even more so and beyond in terms of the impact and effect that you can have within hockey and within STEM. So let's get into, I'm going to go with Lauryn and Annie on this. What's your favorite part of your job, and what do you find the most interesting about hockey?
Yeah, so my favorite part of this job is honestly, it's my coworkers. They make the sometimes very grueling days a lot of fun. But along with my coworkers, the work that we do, it's really fun to come to Keely, sorry, but a Game 7 Stanley Cup final game and go out and look at the crowd and know that you were a part in getting all of those people in the venue, in the arena, whether it's a stadium, arena, concert venue. It's really exciting to be a part of something that somebody's excited to go to. And so getting all those people in the building is definitely, it's worth the long hours, and it's very fulfilling at the end of the day.
Wonderful. Love hearing that. Annie, what about you? Is there something about your job that you love in particular, or about hockey?
Yeah, I think like similar to Lauryn, it's just being able to see it on such a large scale. Like my role exists in a lot of different other industries. Like I could work in the beauty industry and sell moisturizers every day, and it would still be kind of the same day-to-day type of thing. But being able to see, and you walk into a building and you see nearly 20,000 people watching a hockey game, and knowing that you had a part somehow in getting somebody in the doors, it kind of puts it all into perspective of what we're doing on a day-to-day. That, to Lauryn's point, sometimes they're long and grueling days, but it all makes it worth it. I think another thing too that's really interesting for my role specifically is our product expires. So when I'm advertising for the next game, I don't have an infinite amount of time to try to sell out that game. Unfortunately, in Ottawa, we're not as fortunate as some of the other markets where, we have a really big building, and we are not in the city. We're kind of far away. So we have some challenges to get people into the building some days. And so having a product that expires after a certain amount of time, we can't go back and try to sell that game if we don't hit our target for that game. We just kind of have to move on into the next one. And I don't think that happens in a lot of other industries. Like I mentioned, if I was selling moisturizers, if I launch a campaign and that campaign doesn't do as much as I thought it would, or it's not as successful as I thought it would be, I can go back to the drawing board and rework how we can market this particular moisturizer. But, if Pittsburgh's coming to town, I only have one shot to try to get that game sold out and get people into the building. So that's another interesting part of working in sport in general, but hockey.
I'm sure also just the nature of how the team is doing, the players that are coming in, as you mentioned, Pittsburgh, and I'm sure we're all thinking Sidney Crosby. You try to capitalize on the fact of what can bring people in the door for these different jobs. Okay, so let's go around the horn here as before we move on to student questions that we have. And I would just love if each one of you, we'll start with Katerina, Keely, Lauryn, Chloe, and Annie. We'll go in that order. If you could leave the students on this call with one message, one thing that they could take away about your job, your experience, whatever it is that you feel passionate that you want people to know, what would it be? Katerina, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I would say I think that it's really important for students to ask good questions during classes and make sure that they engage with the material. I think that was something that I sort of struggled with as someone who was really shy, and English wasn't my first language when I first came to America. So I think that once I got into high school and college, I learned that asking questions and making sure that, like, if there was something I didn't understand, that I made that clear to my teacher so that they could help me understand that. That was one of the best things that I did for my education.
Keely, what about you?
Yeah, so I think for me too, one of the questions I was skimming in the chat was how do you stand out and how do you get those jobs? But I think for me, it's important for you guys to be different. That you don't want to be the exact same as everybody else. If you're the exact same as everybody else, you don't stand out. And I'm a goalie, I'm a lawyer, so I'm different in many, many ways in my company. And I think of things differently than everybody else. And that's what makes me special. And that's what makes me important as well. So I think you want to look at what makes you stand out from people, what makes you a bit special. If you've got ideas, raise them. Don't just sit back and think that everybody else is thinking the exact same thing. This is what I've learned over my years, is that people aren't thinking the same thing as me. And by the time somebody else raises it 10 minutes later, I was like, well, I thought everybody was thinking that way. So find things that make you special, embrace those things, stand out in a crowd, but also appreciate those around you that are different and special too. And the more you get different people thinking about the same problem, then your problems are going to have much better solutions.
Love it. Embrace being different. That's how you get ahead and also how you feel great in whatever you decide to do. Lauryn, what's some parting words that you have for these students?
Very similar to a few things a few people have already said on this call, but just always ask why. Be curious, stay curious, whether it's in any subject you're learning in school or out in real life, ask why. Somebody tells you something, learn a little bit more about it. Just stay curious and, dive into things a little bit more.
A great message for everyone in life, whatever it is that comes across them. All right, Chloe, what about yourself? What's a message you want people to know?
Yeah, I would just say that you shouldn't be afraid to go for opportunities, even if you are new to the area, you don't have a ton of background in, because you just never know when it could work out and you might be the right fit. You might be different, like Keely said, and that might be something that's appealing about you. And so, yeah, like I said, I was completely new to hockey when I applied for this job with the Hurricanes, and I just did it because I thought that'd be crazy. What if that happened? And it worked out, and it started this great new chapter in my life. So I just would encourage you to apply, go for, ask for any opportunity that excites you and that you think it could just be fun and it could change the trajectory of your life at any point in time.
Love that. And Annie, for you, any parting words for the students?
Yeah, I think my one piece of advice that I would try to give is just don't put too much pressure on yourselves too quickly or too early. Whatever will be, will be. And I know that sounds really, cheesy and cliche, but it is true. And I think sometimes we can get stuck in the what next type of attitude, like where you're going, what you're doing. And so I would just say, find what you like, do what you like, but don't put too much pressure on yourself to be super successful or make, your first job will be your dream job, because it might be, but it also might not be. So just enjoy the process and don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Great advice from all of you. And it is certainly a process as someone who is in the hockey space, not in the tech space necessarily, but I use a lot of what you guys do to help me with my broadcasting in terms of asking questions to athletes and knowing different statistics and how teams are doing. But it is certainly a long journey. And that is something that you want to embrace, because there's going to be really good days, there's going to be tough days, but overall, if you feel really passionate about what you're doing, everything will come together. As Annie said, trying not to put too much pressure on yourself to be the best, to win awards, to win the Stanley Cup on the first job that you've had. I've had many different jobs all across North America, and each one of them has taught me something different into where I am now and who the person that I am right now, because that is so much about what we do as people is who we are as well. So now we have some student questions. Thank you so much for sending them to us. First of all, we'd like to ask Chloe, this is student questions. What programming language do you typically use?
Mostly I use Python. I do a little bit of JavaScript, but mostly Python.
Okay, great. I'm not familiar with Python, obviously, but I'm sure everyone watching this is. Okay, so the next question we have is, I'm going to say let's ask Katerina and Keely. How would you change your jobs? What adjustments would you make for your jobs if you could?
It's a really interesting question. I never thought that before. I think that something I might change would just be the data sources that are available to me. There's so many things that, like for one, and I work with tracking data very commonly, and that's where the players have a chip right between their shoulder blades and in the jerseys. Oh my gosh, sorry. In the jerseys between the shoulder blades. And sometimes that makes it difficult to tell where the player is oriented. And in hockey, it's important to be able to skate forwards and backwards. And I also like to have a chip in a player's stick, because I think that that's a very important part of hockey that we can't currently capture right now, or at least accurately capture. So those are two things I would change.
I love that. Okay, Keely, what about you? What would you change?
That is a neat question, and I've never honestly been asked something like that before. So it helps you think about your job and what you would change. But I think, given that this is a STEM talk and it's things that are maybe a little bit more straightforward as opposed to global and philosophical and flowery in the English world, but I would change contracts for, I would have, there's different sides of contracts, but there's so many ways to word things. And I think I would just have three ways. I would have one way that's in favor of your side, one way that's in favor of my side, and one way that's mutual. And you just pick one, two, or three and put it all into a contract. Because I read pages upon pages of small print and wording, and it's all slightly different, but a lot of it means the same. And I think we could be a lot more efficient in our time and a lot more straightforward just to pick A, B, C, move on, let's go.
That would definitely make looking through contracts and legalese a lot easier. I think that that's a great suggestion. Okay, our next question is from a class from Buffalo loves their mascot, Sabretooth. And Lauryn and Annie, I'll ask you this. Do any of you interact with your team mascots or fan experience?
Yeah, so we have Spartacat here in Ottawa, and he is a full-time member of our staff, and he sits right beside me. So I see him on a daily basis. And in terms of the fan experience part of things, I think a lot of my job is about getting people in the door, but it's also really important to understand how they got there and why they stayed and why they come back. So when it comes to the fan experience side of things, I execute a lot of post-game surveys, customer experience side of things, to see if people liked the in-game band. Did they hate the new light show we introduced? Did they, all those things that go into the entertainment side of things outside of the on-ice product, because we can't really control the on-ice product. So.
Love it. Lauryn, what about you?
Yeah, very similar to Annie. We in ticketing work a lot with community or group sales or marketing if we're going to have a special ticket package to bring people out earlier for a game. So the fan experience side is a lot of fun to see what we can do on top of just people getting into the building. And as for our mascots, Stanley or Victor, they always like to swing by the box office, give everyone a little high five. So we love seeing them. They're our favorite highlight of the evening.
Yes, mascots definitely bring the energy. Keely, what do you have here? I think it's a little blurry. If you want to maybe put your phone back a bit, there. Can you describe to us what we're looking at?
There we go. So this is Hunter, and we're very similar to Annie and Lauryn, is that Hunter likes to try out his new outfits as he's in his St. Patty's Day outfit, and he wanders around our office and drops off candy to all of the workers. And he writes notes to my kids on my whiteboard too. So Hunter is very engaged in our day-to-day.
Wow. I feel like every job could use a mascot. It's just a feel-good energy, bringing candy around, notes to your kids. What can't a mascot do? Okay, finally, one last question, and it is actually for me, which is surprising. But Julie, what was it like knowing you would be a reporter for the NHL? And I will have to say, I didn't know necessarily I would be a reporter for the NHL, but I put a lot of my energy into wanting to do that. And I think that's something I would say is you can't really control the outcome, but you can put everything into the process of trying to do something that you love. And sometimes you're going to get something that you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be there. So it kind of helps you know that you always have to be evolving, you always have to be learning, and you always have to really follow your passions. At the end of the day, I always tell people, if you don't love what you're doing and you don't love hockey, you're really not going to like this job because you've got to be all in all the time. And that's what I love about my job is when I'm not working, I go to the games because I just love to be there and I love to be around even all the people I work with and talk to scouts, talk to players, and just be fully immersed in it. But being an NHL reporter is continuously a lifelong dream, and I think that that's with a lot of these different jobs is just knowing that there are going to be sometimes stumbles here or there, and you're not going to be able to control how an organization creates jobs, or if, there aren't any jobs or this or that, but you just have to keep going. And that's the biggest thing, is no matter what, it's, if you believe in your dream, just keep going no matter what is in your way, if you love it that much, because it will be difficult, but that doesn't mean that's bad. That's just part of how life is a lot of the time. So that's the message I'll leave you guys with. And we will now transition very quickly to have some time for trivia that we had promised. So we'll just do a couple trivia questions here, because I know that we are running out of time. So we're going to start with the question number 5. Okay, within the Carolina Hurricane Organization, who does Chloe support by providing data analytics and insights? And you guys can pick coaches, scouts, players, or all of the above. Okay, and the 94% of you said all of the above, and that, I believe, is the correct answer, right? Yeah, let's make sure I say that before. Okay, next question we have is, let's see if it's gonna pop up on the screen, number 6. And I'm just gonna maybe, can anyone see the, okay, there we go. All right. Question number 6. What sport did Keely Brown compete in and win multiple medals? Was it hockey, ringette, soccer, or basketball? And 85% of you said ringette, which is correct. She also did play hockey, as we mentioned. So good listening out there as well. Next up, number 7. Which team did Lauryn start her career with? You had to really be listening for this one if you heard me say it. Was it the Orlando Solar Bears, South Carolina Stingrays, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, or the Fort Wayne Comets? And the answer is Greenville Swamp Rabbits. Correct. Okay. And our next question, which of our panelists was the first woman hired by the Penguins to assist in player evaluation within hockey operations? Might be giving it away with her background, but Lauryn, Keely, Katerina, or Annie? All right, Katerina, that is correct. And our final question here. What marketing components are a part of Annie's job as the manager, demand generation marketing? Email marketing, paid advertising, supporting the brand team, or all of the above? 100% on the final question. That is correct. Congratulations, everyone, for joining us here in trivia. And we just want to say thank you to everyone for being a part of today's incredible event, especially to our remarkable panelists. And if you guys can please give them a round of applause wherever you are. Let's snaps and claps, waves, whatever you want. We know that these women are really busy, and it's we're very appreciative of their time here today. And we also want to give a double thank you to you for watching this here today, and hopefully you learn more, and your teachers for being a part of the 5th annual Future Goals Women in STEM and Hockey panel discussion in celebration of Women's History Month. And a teacher, of course, is one of the most important influences in a child's life. The NHL and NHLPA are proud to celebrate teachers that use the sport of hockey to educate and inspire their students through Future Goals, Most Valuable Teacher program. So you can cast your vote to who you think should be the most valuable teacher. Visit nhl.com/MVT, and you can vote once per day, every day, until 11:59 p.m. Eastern on April 1st, 2025. So if you want your teacher to win, make sure that you cast your vote there. And so we hope that you learned a lot from today's panelists and these remarkable women. And we want to see just how much fun that you had today during the panel's discussion, what you learned. And we've put up the social media handles for each NHL team. We thank you again to the NHL and NHLPA for helping us host this event today. Make sure to tag at NHL, at NHLPA, at NHL Unites, and at Everfi K-12 in your posts. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day and good luck in the future. We hope to see many of you in these jobs going forward.